Welcome, everybody. Welcome, December 28th. December 28th. Only a few days left in this magnificent year of 2020. Wow, what a day, what a day, what a day. We got a amazing story, amazing transformation happening right before our eyes. The late, great Tulsi Gabbard, who we kind of, I guess, had some respect for during the 2016 presidential election, primary with Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton. Tulsi Gabbard at one point was going to be the keynote address for Bernie Sanders and got axed. But Tulsi Gabbard did a wonderful thing. She is now I think finding her footing, if you will. She once upon a time believed that the war in Iraq was justified. Got on a plane with a gun and as a soldier and went over to Iraq and slaughtered people under the direction of then President George Bush. When millions of people in the street basically said, "Oh, this is bad. This is bad. George Bush taking us to war." Millions of people stood up, but Tulsi Gabbard ran to the front lines with a gun, or at least gun protection. She was a medic, probably not slinging a gun herself, but nonetheless. Tulsi Gabbard. See, we accept forgiveness and analyze that sort of thing here. And so Tulsi Gabbard has taken her career to Fox News, where she did in this reporter's opinion, one of the best, most revealing, most right at the throat interview that I have seen in a long time with the congressman-elect in Long Island, George Santos, who basically lied to his constituency, said he was a Jew when he's a Catholic. He said he graduated from Baruch, which he did not. He says he worked for Goldman Sachs and Citigroup. He did not. Total, unequivocal bullshit artist, lying his way in front of his constituents and getting a passing grade by those constituents to be the congressman. Now, does it matter? We have what you're going to see. In my view, Tulsi Gabbard gives us clear and convincing evidence that this guy has not only did he lie and cheat and steal, but he has absolutely no remorse or sense of dignity in terms of the lies that he's told, and you're going to see that in the interview if you haven't already seen it, and it's pretty wild. Meanwhile, there's a storm, vicious. Oh my God, it's so bad. You moved to Buffalo, and now you're crying that it snows too much. But the northeast and the north part of this country got walloped by snowstorms, and it turns out Joe Biden, President of the United States, leader of the free world, rather than run up to Buffalo and absorb the problem that the Buffalo people are having with the storm, instead of running up there, Joe Biden heads to the Caribbean on vacation, on the beach, 80 degrees with his family and his lovely grandchildren, soaking up the rays. So take a look at that too. Is Joe Biden allowed to take Christmas holiday when the country is in a state of snow emergency? I don't know. Maybe. It could have been. You know what he could have done? You know what he could have done? Instead of going directly to the Caribbean on Air Force One, why don't you point the fucking plane to Buffalo, land, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, get out, throw some snowballs, help pretend that you're helping somebody dig their way out of a car or something, and then get back onto the plane and go to the Caribbean, because you're rich and powerful and you could do that sort of thing. But nonetheless, Joe Biden didn't do any of those things. Joe Biden decided that he was going to just head right to the Caribbean, and you make up your own mind. Is that what our politicians are supposed to do in the event of emergencies? Now, I want to mention too that the George Santos situation is rather interesting because he is a Republican, and it looks like because the House is going to go Republican this January. Are they going to go after DeSantis and try to disqualify him for lying to his constituents and try to, run him out of office, force him to resign? I don't know. Then what happens? What happens if the Republicans run one of their own out of office? Who replaces him? Does he get replaced by a dirty Democrat in the same district? Who replaces George Santos if he folds? Which it's starting to look like he may fold. He may have to under this pressure. But there is a interesting dichotomy there of that the Republicans are equally as pissed because it makes everybody look bad when you just come straight out and lie and then refuse to own the lie by stepping away. See, in this country, we don't have, there is no longer integrity. We just say, oh, yeah, George Santos, oh, yeah, I lied a little bit, and, I may have exaggerated my resume, but Joe Biden does it too. Right? Pass it off on the other guy. Don't own your problem. So we're gonna look at that interesting story. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. David Brown is here. Vinny DiMartini, Chris Milk in the house. Champs, Fear Porn, Zoot Suit Cooter. I gave $1 million is here as well. I'm sorry, I fucked up your name. Jim Gerard, what's up, Jim? Jim in the house. David Brown. Good morning, everybody. Thank you all for joining me, and we'll move on. That's my thumbnail today. There he is, George Santos, the big fat liar. Says he's a Jew. He ain't no Jew. He ain't no Jew. He even pissed off the Jews. He pissed off the Jew. The Jews are pissed off, man. Don't be running on a platform of Jew when you ain't no Jew. Right, and Baruch College over there in Manhattan said he graduated. Nah, man. He looks like a deer in the headlights. I'm telling you, man. Tulsi Gabbard showed no mercy, laid into Mr. DeSantis like I haven't seen in a long time. This is a good 5-minute fucking run. So we'll take a look at that story. And he got a website, Marcus Conte. He's got a website. Holy smokes, he's still here on YouTube, professing his truth or lack thereof. And this is what cyber bully looks like. So every morning at 9 a.m., we go live somewhere. Right now we're live on YouTube at 9 a.m. You can come to marcusconte.com every morning at 9 a.m. and I'll stick the link where we are live. At this moment, we're on YouTube 1. Look, if you don't get notifications and you don't get, YouTube is not telling you we're there, don't pay attention to that. Just know that we're there every morning at 9 a.m. That's all you got to do. There is no notification necessary. It's 9 a.m. We're on. We're live. That's how it works. You can join us. You could join us like the people in the far right of your screen. These are real live people, no phonies, no Russian bots. There might be a couple of FBI agents in there, and a couple of these people might be CIA. I don't know. It does look like the CIA and the FBI is infiltrating. It is confirmed now through the Twitter files that the FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the CIA are in fact, and the DHS are in fact watching our programs and deciding what can be said and what cannot be said. Now, for me, that's the biggest story of the year, probably of our lifetime, that government has found a way to shut people up in the public square, and nobody is fighting back. But we welcome you, FBI, CIA. We are open to your suggestions. I know that you have a job to do, and I know that there are some people in the Bureau that believe what you're doing is correct and integral, and that there's some sort of thing that you're preventing from getting out there to save the American people and all that happy nonsense. But you know, give us a break here and hear us out, and you show me any evidence in the chat of people that are feeling like they're being bullied or not happy or attacked or any of these frivolous allegations against this reporter. So thank you for joining us, both public and government hacks. I'm sorry, not hacks, but government observers. Because that's the state of the union right now. The state of the union is regular Americans are incompetent and unable to express themselves fully because they don't know what they're talking about. They don't have the inside scoop like we do, says the FBI and the CIA. So anyway, Chris Milk says, anyone in this chat identify as a friend, CIA, FBI? Well, let's find out. It might be some of you. It might be me. Who knows? You know, I don't know. But or they're just not. Let's see how many people we got watching. They don't have the inside scoop. Hey. How many people are watching? Oh, 30. There's 23 people watching, and maybe 20 or maybe 15 are chatting. So I would venture to say, if you're not chatting and if you're not showing us that you're here, you're probably the FBI and the CIA. So is that conspiracy theory? No. It's based on the evidence. The evidence in the record now shows that this is precisely what is going on social media. And we have to, I guess, swerve around it. Got to swerve around it. I wanted to mention this yesterday, and a good friend of the program, Mikal Sly, said, I don't always get to read. I'm not always reading the chat as it flips by because I'm talking, but a lot of time I almost always read it after the fact. And Mikal Sly says, quote, Buddhists believe life and the many things in it are like hooks, drawing you in. The more you can detach yourself from the hooks, the more at peace you will be. All right, I just want to clarify. I would say I agree with the second part of that. You detach yourself from the hooks, but the fact I don't know whatever Buddhist means to you, Buddhist religion. But the notion of mindfulness and Buddhist concentration, the skill that was passed on from the Buddha, is not about detaching from life and the many things in it. It's actually the opposite of that. It's accepting that life and the many things in it are fascinating and wonderful and one of a kind in the moment. Right? It's not a detachment from it. It's a detachment from the concepts that surround them. For example, someone gets angry at you, and rather than get angry back at them, you are fascinated by the anger that you no longer have. You're like, wow, this is anger. And you try to, you don't in exchange get angry at that thing happening in life. Instead, you're fascinated by it. When you look at the birds and the bees and the snow, you're not detaching yourself from any of it. This notion of renunciation in Buddhism is actually it's misconstrued, is what it is. There is no renunciation of life. You fly into life. You experience it in all its valor. That's what the Buddha did. The Buddha didn't go off into the cave and disappear. He went out into the world and engaged it. Right? So anyway, I hope that's helpful if you're here. And so let's talk about a fan. I gotta cut this one up a little bit. Sloppy Cabbie. I am always in search of an emerging talent in our community. And here is a fan of the program, Sloppy Cabbie. Now I might have to cut this up a little bit. I might have to shut it up a little bit because he's playing an Iron Maiden song, but the performance is spectacular, man. Kick it! Kick it! I love it, man. Now, there's an Iron Maiden song going on in there, so we're not allowed to play that, Sloppy Cabbie. I'm not chopping you out because you're not good, but if you could give me a homegrown song, I'd be happy to play the full thing. Yeah. See, this is what I'm talking about. He's playing his Jackson Charvel guitar. Love it. I used to have one of those. It looks like a flying V, too. Hey, listen, Sloppy Cabbie, keep them coming, man. Keep them coming. Anybody who wants to put on a costume and play guitar on my program, you are welcome here, my brother. My brother. So anyway, that was a little musical break there. I'm sorry you can't play the song, though, because it's Iron Maiden, and the bots will disqualify the entire program for you doing that. So I don't want that to happen, because this is going to be a real good program today. So a fascinating story here. Driver nearly hits cop, smashes into police cruiser on Ohio highway. All right, let's watch. There's a video of it somewhere. The cop jumps out of the way. You don't even need to see the video. But the interesting part of this is that a cop pulls over on the side of a highway to address the problem of cars piling up. And then another car comes along and whacks into the cruiser. Didn't hurt anybody. The cop jumped out of the way, right? And that's all fair. But why? This last sentence got me good, right? The driver was ticketed for failure to control and issued a court date. Are you kidding me? You're on the highway in really, really bad conditions that you may have to have been in to get where you had to go. There was no ban from driving. And then you have an accident because some jerk-off cop parked his car on the side of the highway and you smack into it, destroying his car and your car, right? And you get a ticket for that? Why did you get a ticket for an accident? It's an accident. You saw it happening. The street was full of ice. That does not make sense to me. Why are you prosecuting someone, ticketing them for an accident? I don't know the details of the story, but it looked like a harm. Why? Because he's a cop? You hit the cop car, therefore you must get a ticket? I don't know. The little people getting stepped on. If you're a little person, you get stepped on. Pete Buttigieg furthers the idea that storms are bad. Tell it, Pete. The Secretary of Transportation saying it.
Well, they need to take care of their passengers. And
they. Let's blame somebody. He's blaming some airline for all the woes of the world.
They need to take care of their employees. Look, everybody understands that there is extreme weather across the country, but where most airlines saw their performance start to improve, Southwest has actually moved in the other direction. You've got passengers who are stranded. You got passengers who can't get a hold of customer service. It's an unacceptable situation.
Hey, Pete, why don't you give him a ticket? Why don't you give the airline a ticket?
Secretary, I know you've spoken with Southwest Airlines. Could they tell you how they fix this?
They told me in their words that they will go above and beyond their written
All right, so there's Pete Buttigieg, the Secretary of Transportation, belittling the airline at the airport for not doing what they're supposed to do. All right, so the bottom line is that we have a really bad storm in America, and that's acceptable. We can't really frown too much on what Pete Buttigieg is saying. On the other hand, Biden heads to Santa Cruz. Joe Biden's winter blast kills dozens of Americans and cancels 10,000 flights. Joe Biden gets on a plane. President Biden left the White House Tuesday night for a tropical vacation in Santa Cruz to ring in the new year with his lovely wife and grandchildren. Ah, it's good to be president. Oh, those poor freezing people in Buffalo and the like in Ohio skidding off the road, hitting cops. It's all havoc breaking loose, right? People looting and stealing and robbing. Not a peep, not a word from Joe Biden about the looting that's going on in Buffalo. He's on a plane, man. Right? So as I said earlier, why didn't Joe Biden take Air Force One and do a fucking flyby at a bare minimum? Fly by Buffalo where it's cold, and maybe throw out some fucking rescue shit out of the plane, right? Throw down some Twinkies, or throw down some of your very rich person's scraps from the plane, and feed the poor people of Buffalo. But Joe Biden didn't get it. He doesn't get it. There he is in the airport with his lovely people. There's Jill in her black leotards. It's at 80 years old wearing black leotards. And we all have to look at that. There's Joe Biden. Joe Biden pushing 90. Next step, 90 years old. And he's in a hurry. Him and his grandkids, they want to get to the beach. They want to get to the, look, oh my God, look where he's going. Holy shit, where are you going for New Year's? What are you, hunkering down in your cold little place? Working your cold little job? In your cold fucking world? Not Joe Biden. Joe Biden says, no, there's blue water, beautiful blue water, ocean, and a chance to jump into it down there in Santa Cruz, the U.S. Virgin Islands. He didn't leave U.S. soil. He's not on Epstein Island. So there he is. He's going to be in one of these chairs, going to jump into the pool. And this is going on right now. This is what's going on in Buffalo. Fucking Buffalo can't even move. All right, everything's frozen. All right. Is he correct to do that? Should Joe Biden be should his vacation be interrupted? All right. I don't know. Vacation means time to shut down for a while and go retreat. Right? But at a bare minimum, he could have done a flyover. He could have gone and done that before he done this. Look at this, Joe Biden, Palm Tree Island, beautiful 3-room apartment. Is he going to be paying for it? That's the other scam and ripoff. Joe Biden's required to report any gifts that he may receive in the White House, including luxurious vacation spots down in the Caribbean, right? And historically, he didn't pay for shit. Historically, Joe Biden just takes it and then one day, covertly, I guess, will deliver you a favor for doing what you did. See, I don't pay out of my pocket. That's not how this works. See, everything we do is you give me a favor, and then I turn around and I use my government position to give you a favor. Somehow, some way, maybe we'll give you some tickets to the gala. We'll give you a front row seat at my next inauguration, right? We'll get on the phone with that politician that's being a pain in the ass in your area and make him fall in line, something like that. Right? What other shots we got here? Oh, there he is. This is where I'll be sitting. Very, very. There's a cross on the wall and some very old furniture-looking stuff. Kind of modest, if you will, I would say, for a president. He's got a standard barbecue. I don't think he's going to be burning anything himself. And very simple means, very simple, but elaborate, considering where he is in the world. So I don't know what you think of that one, but brace yourself for this one. This is amazing. Tulsi Gabbard has found her niche in life, in my view, and I'm happy for her. I'm very happy that Tulsi Gabbard is now a very, very astute Fox News commentator who's able to get the politician on the show at all. Must have been interesting. George Santos had no idea what he was stepping into, and he thought he was going on Tucker Carlson, maybe to talk to Tucker Carlson, and he got Tulsi Gabbard. But watch this interview. Watch how she totally shreds Mr. DeSantis. Let's go.
Now, permanent Washington has created a culture where it's acceptable to lie to further your own interests.
Correct.
Just try not to get caught. I should know. I served in Congress for 8 years. But even when these politicians do get caught,
She said, try not to get caught.
people just shrug their shoulders and move on. No big deal. No
Right.
consequences. A few examples. Dick Blumenthal lied about his military service. And of course, Elizabeth Warren. She lied about having Native American heritage. So no one should be surprised that the American people
What about George Bush, who lied about weapons of mass destruction, Tulsi? You remember that lie that you swallowed? I mean, just for the record, we know Tulsi Gabbard. We like Tulsi Gabbard, and we want to forgive and forget. But we do have to air out the hypocrisy a little bit. Tulsi Gabbard supported George Bush during the Iraq War. She was a soldier and so on. So anyway.
people don't trust these politicians. They've
No,
got
we
no
don't.
faith that those in Washington are actually working for the people when they're so clearly working for themselves. Now, there are new accusations.
All true so far. Trust the Shooter says she's a Fox News grifter. Let's hear her out before we say that, right? Maybe Tulsi Gabbard, in the beginning, is going for the throat. She may water it down over time, but right now, I'm telling you, this interview blows you away, right?
That George Santos, who was just elected to represent New York in Congress in this past election, has actually been lying extensively about his own past.
Correct.
Now, he admits to some of these deceptions. For example, Santos acknowledges that he, quote, embellished his resume by saying that he graduated from Baruch College, but he didn't.
Correct.
Now, Santos has also admitted he never actually worked for Citigroup and Goldman Sachs, even though his website suggested that he did. Additionally, Santos once called himself a proud Jew. But in an interview with the New York Post, Santos now says, quote, I am Catholic because I learned my maternal family had a Jewish background. I said I was Jew-ish.
So Santos went after all of those votes, right? 3 blatant lies about on his resume, where he went to school, who he worked for, and his religious affiliation. All effing lies. All of it, right? And he's going to come on the show to defend it. Let's listen.
There are other accusations, but now we have the opportunity to hear directly from George Santos himself. This is his very first TV interview since these accusations surfaced. George
Okay.
Santos joins us now.
Welcome, George Santos. Here he is.
Congressman-elect Santos, thank you for joining us today.
He's like, what the fuck, man? Where's Tucker, man? Where's Tucker? I could beat him in a debate. Tulsi, I don't know about you.
First question I really want to ask you, now that all of this has been revealed, is what does the word integrity mean to you?
Well, Tulsi, thank you for having me. You know, to answer your question, integrity is very important. And like I said to the New York Post, embellishing
What
my
does it
resume
mean,
was a
though?
mistake.
What does it mean? Because the meaning...
Shut him off. Cut him off. See, this is how you interview politicians that don't answer the question. You don't let them run on. You cut him off. What does integrity mean to you, mother effer? I just asked you, what does integrity mean? You lied to the constituency. This is good. Let's listen again. Let's listen.
Integrity is very important. And like I said to the New York Post, embellishing
What
my
does it
resume
mean,
was a
though?
mistake.
What does it mean? Because the meaning of
Well-
the word actually matters in practice.
Of course, it means to carry yourself in an honorable way. And I made a mistake. And I think humans are flawed, and we all make mistakes, Tulsi.
So humans are flawed. We all make mistakes. Come on already. Let's move on. I'm a U.S. Congressperson now. Well, that's what we do. We lie. We all lie. Come on, Tulsi. Come on, Tulsi. You know the scoop.
I think we can all look at ourselves in the mirror and admit that once in our life we made a mistake. I'm having to admit this in national television for the whole country to see, and I have the
Because you put yourself. I'm sorry. I'm chopping it up a little bit. I'll let it run and then I'll talk.
Of course, it means to carry yourself in an honorable way. And I made a mistake. And I think humans are flawed, and we all make mistakes, Tulsi. I think we can all look at ourselves in the mirror and admit that once in our life we made a mistake. I'm having to admit this in national television for the whole country to see, and I have the courage to do so because I believe that in order to move past this and move forward and be an effective member of Congress, I have to face my mistakes, and I'm facing them.
In the chat, Me So Hungry points out that he's gay. That's another thing, right? He had said, one of the other lies he told was that he's openly gay. He never mentioned that he was married to a woman for like 10 years. Right? So is he gay? Is he part-time gay? Is he sort of gay? Is he like what does that matter? But he lied and said he's openly gay. Right? That's fucked up, right? I mean, people in America look at those sorts of things. What is your religious affiliation? What is your sexual orientation? Where did you work? Where did you go to school? He lied about all of it. All of it.
The reality is that I remain committed to doing everything I set forward in my campaign. I'm not a fraud. I'm not a fake. I didn't materialize from thin air. I worked damn hard to get where I got my entire life.
You worked damn hard doing what? Lying your way up the food chain to get power? That's working hard? I lied. I know. I got power now, so we have to forget about all the lies I told because the American people are fucking stupid and they're going to forget about this anyway.
Life wasn't easy. It didn't start off easy. As I've said it many, many times, I come from abject poverty.
Who cares? That should have been your campaign fucking pitch. I come from abject poverty.
I made some mistakes, and I own up to them.
All right, own up to it and step aside, motherfucker.
And now I want to put this past me so I can deliver for the American people.
The thing is, Congressman-elect, integrity means, yes, carrying yourself with honor, but it means telling the truth, being a person of integrity. And if I were one of those in New York's 3rd District right now that the election is over, and I'm finding out all of these lies that you've told, not just one little lie or one little embellishment, these are blatant lies. My question is, do you have no shame? Do you have no shame in the people who are...
Do you have no shame? Do you have any shame whatsoever?
Now you're asking to trust you to go and be their voice for them, their families, and their kids in Washington?
Tulsi, I can say the same thing about the Democrats and the party. Look at Joe Biden. Joe Biden's been lying.
And now he's going to deflect it. Look at Joe Biden. Look at Joe Biden. Have you no shame? Have you no shame, George? Look at Joe Biden, he says.
See, I can say the same thing about the Democrats and the party. Look at Joe Biden. Joe Biden's been lying to the American people for 40 years. He's the president of the United States. Democrats resoundingly support him. Do they have no shame? I've made this very clear.
So he's basically saying to the American people, politicians lie all the time, right? Look at Joe Biden. He's a liar. I'm a liar. We're all liars. There's no integrity. Integrity is about winning. I won. That's it.
This is not about the Democratic Party, though. This is about your relationship, frankly, with the people who've entrusted you to go and fight for them. And I think one of the questions that really probably hits home to a lot of people is are you Jewish? We've got a letter that your campaign sent out earlier this year, which reads as follows. As a proud American Jew, I've been to Israel numerous times for educational, business, and leisurely trips. You said there in that letter that you are, quote, a proud American Jew. A
proud American Jew. He's a Jew. I'm straight. I'm gay. I'm straight. I'm a Jew. I went to Baruch. I work at Goldman Sachs. I work at Citigroup.
How do you explain that?
My heritage is Jewish. I've always identified as Jewish.
Now he's going to promote he's going to advance the lie. He's going to advance the lie. My heritage is Jewish. Really? What heritage is Jewish? What Jew? I don't know any Jew that is a Christian that says my heritage is Jewish, but I'm a Christian. It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous argument.
How do you explain that?
How do you explain it?
My heritage is Jewish. I've always identified as Jewish. I was raised a practicing Catholic. I think I've gone through this. Even I've not being raised a practicing Jew. I've always joked with friends and circles, even with in the campaign, I'd say, guys, I'm Jewish. Remember, I was raised Catholic. So, look, I understand everybody wants to nitpick at me. I'm going to reassure this once.
Nitpick? This is nitpicking. This guy is telling his constituency it's just nitpicking.
And for all, I'm not a facade. I'm not a persona. I have an extensive career that I worked really hard to achieve, and I'm going to deliver from my experience because I remain committed in delivering results for the American people. I campaigned on inflation. I campaigned on crime. I campaigned on education. I campaigned on delivering resolve for the American people. That's what the people of the 3rd Congressional District heard me on and on as.
Well, why should we assume that those are not lies as well, Mr. Santos? You just lied. Why should America believe you that you're fighting for inflation and all these other issues, American issues? Why should we believe any of it? We shouldn't, because you're a liar.
I campaigned. Now it's going to be incumbent upon me to deliver on those results, and I look forward to servicing and serving my district. I look forward to serving my people in my district to make sure that they see that this is what
looking for. The results that people are looking for are called into question when you tell blatant lies, not embellishments. And this is, I think, one of the biggest concerns, Congressman-elect, is that you don't really seem to be taking this seriously. You've apologized. You said you've made mistakes, but you've outright lied. A lie is not an embellishment on a resume. You said you worked at Goldman Sachs and Citigroup, but they've said we've got no record of this.
This is a king-size fucking shredder. This really is, man. This is good stuff, Tulsi Gabbard.
Working for us. You've said you've gone to and graduated from these universities, but they've said, well, we've got no record of that. These are blatant lies, and it calls into question how your constituents and the American people can believe anything that you may say when you are standing on the floor of the House of Representatives, supposedly fighting for them. That's the real issue here.
Huh?
Well, look, I agree with what you're saying, and as I stated, and I continue, we can debate my resume and how I worked with firms such as Goldman and Citigroup.
Is it debatable or is it just false?
No,
is it debatable or is it just
debatable.
false?
It's debatable. It's debatable that you worked for these. You said you worked for Goldman Sachs and Citigroup. That's a pretty impressive resume. You didn't work for them. Why is it debatable? You said you were a Jew and you're Catholic. Why is that debatable? You said you went to Baruch. Why is that debatable? You said you were openly gay most of your life, right? Or whatever, all of it. And you were married to a woman. Why is that debatable?
No, it's not false at all. It's debatable.
It is false, you fucking liar.
I can sit down and explain to you what you can do in private equity, in capital intro, via servicing limited.
Me So Hungry says, who would want to say they work for Goldman Sachs and Citigroup? Oh, that's a pretty impressive resume. When you say you work for Goldman Sachs and Citigroup, that releases a certain amount of money from those areas. People that not everybody looks at Goldman Sachs and Citigroup as evil bankers. The elite class that gets guys like Santos elected care a great deal about your affiliation with Citigroup and Goldman Sachs. And without those affiliations, they may not have thrown money your way, and you most likely wouldn't be the congressman-elect. You would have gotten wiped out because you had no money.
Partners and general partners. And we can have this discussion that's going to go way above the American people's head. But that's not what I campaigned on. I campaigned on delivering results for the American people by lowering inflation. I can sit down, and if you want to have that discussion, I'd be glad to, Tulsi, to explain that to you.
We're having the conversation right now. Sit down. We got to do it later. We're having it right now. And you ain't looking so good, Mr. Santos. Let's have the discussion.
Make sure that we settle the score.
This is not about settling scores, and I think you just kind of highlighted, I think, my concern and the concern that people at home have. You're saying that this discussion will go way above the heads of the American people, basically insulting their intelligence. So not only are you now
Good catch, Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard informs the good congressman-elect that you are insulting the American people. To look at you and say, oh yeah, his lies are debatable, right? Are you fucking kidding me? Nobody in their right mind would look at what you said and determine that it's debatable. You lied. The next step is to step aside, get out of the way.
Backtracking
that's not
on
what
these
I'm
lies
saying.
that you've told,
but
you're
Tulsi,
saying that you can't
that's not what
explain
I'm
it
saying.
in a way that your constituents would actually be able to
I
understand.
can explain it in a way
and that
if you
these
give me
lies are
if you give me
debatable.
the time. I can easily give the if you give me the time, I can easily explain it for you. As in, when investors are looking for capital, and I'm sitting there doing due diligence on the appetite and what they're looking for, right? And
Right. Then you turn around and you make up a bunch of lies that will bring the money your way. Right? That's precisely what you did. You looked at the investors, not the people. The investors wanted to know that you might have been a Jew, openly gay. Oh, that works. That sells, especially when you're a Republican and we don't have any of those. Or that you work for Citigroup. Right?
we work
He's a fucking liar.
alongside GPs and LPs to help them place this capital. This is what I was doing, and that's when I worked extensively with these firms and many other firms at my time as I was vice president.
I was out there getting the money, Tulsi. I was out there getting the money. What don't you understand? I lied to the people, but I got the money. Right? Isn't that better? Right? Because now I could represent people, right, in an honest way, but all of the shit that I did to get here was all a big fat lie. Right? How do you believe a guy like that? You can't. You can't. But he's not alone. Santos is not alone in government. There's many cases, except this time the good Tulsi Gabbard got him for at least 7 or 8 minutes.
Of Linkbridge investors. So this isn't a made up narrative, but I feel like nobody really wants to sit down and talk about it. Everybody just wants to push me and call me a liar. Look, I embellished my
You are a liar. We're calling you, you're being called a spade. A spade is being called a spade.
Santos.
I did.
Congressman-elect Santos, we've given you a lot of time. I think the time that is owed is to the people of New York's 3rd. It's hard to imagine how they could possibly trust your explanations when you're not really even willing to admit the depth of your deception to them. Thank you so much for being here and joining us.
Ooh, ow, bang. What a fucking interview. Holy smokes. Holy good. I thought it was good. I thought it was a good grilling, Mr. Santos. Congratulations to Tulsi Gabbard. I guess I'm a fan right now. I'll see how her career as a talking head at Fox News pans out for her. When will she continue to tell truth and expose dirty politicians? Or is Tulsi Gabbard's career over? What politician is going to come on that show and subject themselves to that kind of grilling going forward? I don't know. But to carry on a little bit with that story, New York GOP representative, congressman from Long Island, Nick LaLota, wants probe of George DeSantis' lies. So while that's all going on, George DeSantis is not completely out of the woods. Congress may just have to take a look at some of these lies and see if he broke any laws. Not only that, because if he lied about those things, what else did he lie about? How did he commingle funds? You remember Sam Bankman-Fried? Remember that guy? He's sitting in his mommy's house, facing 100 years in jail for commingling funds on Wall Street. What did George DeSantis do? Right? What did not DeSantis? Santos. Ron DeSantis is not happy today because Ron DeSantis and George Santos sound kind of close. So you got to be careful with that. But anyway, there he is, and I think it's pretty straightforward. I'd like to see the Republicans get off their asses and grill one of their own, a compulsive liar, if you will. Let's see how CBS spins it. CBS, spin it, please.
Resign after he admitted. Well, some Democratic lawmakers are calling for Congressman-elect George Santos to resign after he admitted to lying about his personal and professional background. The New York Republican came.
Thomas Robertson says Tulsi Gabbard should pose for Playboy. That might be the one time that I actually buy the magazine in adulthood. I might have bought it when I was a kid. right? But I would buy that. I'd buy that if Tulsi Gabbard posed for Playboy, very dignified, very just the tits and a little bit of the bush, right? The Playboy way, right, with the curvature and the prettiness of the femme fatale. I'd buy that. I'd buy that magazine. I think that would be that would show the world that you really, really are for real. Like you've lost your political identity. You're just, this is who I am, man. Check out my tits. I good move.
Under fire recently after a New York Times article called into question claims he made during his campaign. Santos admitted to local conservative news outlets Monday that he lied about working for Wall Street firms Citibank and Goldman Sachs. He also admitted that he never graduated from a 4-year college, despite previous claims he received degrees from both Baruch and NYU.
So you could see how Santos is getting thrown under the bus. The Democrats have an incredibly vested interest in getting rid of this guy because he's a Republican. So he really has no. If the Republicans pursue an investigation and the Democrats want to get rid of him, I would say he's gone. He is now going to get thrown under the bus like nobody else's business. He has no cover, right, in Washington, because all fake news is going to go after him because he's a Republican, not because he lied, because he's a Republican. Get a seat.
I disappointed anyone by resume embellishment. I'm sorry. And I'm not going to make excuses for this, but a lot of people overstate in their resumes or twist a little bit or ingratiate themselves. I'm not saying I'm not guilty of that.
Well, CBS News political correspondent Caitlin Huey-Burns joins me now from the White House. Caitlin, how are lawmakers reacting to Santos's admission that he lied about his background?
Yeah.
Hey, Jared. Well, the silence from Republicans has been very telling, and we have not heard from Republican leadership about Santos, and especially since these.
Not true. We heard from this guy right here. Maybe that's a little late, but we heard from Nick LaLota in Long Island, who says that there should be an investigation, just to clarify. So there is some Republican action in the background so far.
Admissions have come out. He essentially confessed to lying about most of his resume, but there are still questions remaining. There are questions about his finances, questions about how he was able to loan his campaign over $700,000 when he claimed poverty. We are starting to hear from some.
Hey, George, where did the $700,000 come from? $700,000. Where did it come from to get your seat? Who paid for it? Was it Citigroup and Goldman Sachs or the people that support those organizations? Because regular people don't have that kind of cash laying around.
Local Republicans, like the Republican chair of the Nassau County, which is where Santos would represent, and they seem pretty disappointed and said that this was just a blanket apology and they want to hear more from Santos. And they also said that they will be holding him accountable, that he has a lot of work to do to prove himself to constituents.
All right, so he's got a lot of work to do and prove himself. Marcus County reporting on the markets. Ding, dong, bang, boom. Oh, my God. Oh, all right, we're green. At least we're seeing green for Christmas. God, it's been red, red, red. Holy shit. So it looks like NASDAQ is up. NASDAQ up 25. Dow Jones Industrial Average up 31. There was no Santa Claus rally, and this does not qualify as one. S&P 500 up 7. Not much. Big tech down, Apple down, Amazon down, Google down, Microsoft up a little, 80 cents, Meta, formerly Facebook, up 15 cents, Tesla up 5 this morning. That's good. They were down 8 yesterday. War stocks, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, both up, both in the green, the holy vaccine, the stocks that give you the vaccine that keeps you safe and sound and disease-free. Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, mixed. Moderna down 280. Johnson & Johnson up 47 cents. And still following Rivian. I put in a buy or accumulate on Rivian yesterday. And up 2 cents today. You're up 2 cents. You're up 2 cents. Oh, my God. So anyway, so thank you all for joining me. My name is Marcus Conte. And there you go, man. There you go. I think it's, I would say we have clear and convincing evidence that your politicians will lie and then defend the lie and say, see, we all lie. We're all a bunch of liars. What? Education? That's all fucking bullshit anyway. It doesn't matter if you graduated. I lied. So what? Citigroup, Goldman Sachs, they're bad people. So I lied. I'm a Jew. My mother was a Jew. I'm Jewish. I go to church, but I'm a Jew. Marcus Conte reporting.